Blake Baker met with reporters after practice on Monday. Joe Sloan met with reporters after practice on Friday. And it's interesting to hear both of their perspectives on the other side of the ball. Like, Blake Baker was asked about Garrett Nussmeier, like for his defense going out there every day and having to go against Garrett Nussmeier. What's that like?
He's a pain in the butt. I know that. He's a really, really good player. He's very smart. He does a phenomenal job understanding coverage and how to look that coverage up. He's done a really, really good job this camp. You know, it's been written about a ton as far as extending plays. But, again, of all those things, the thing that he does off the field and the way that he leads, and he's not afraid to speak, he's what you want in a quarterback, in my opinion. When you talk about there's quarterbacks that sometimes are really good players and they're quiet leaders, but he's outspoken and the guys rally behind him. So it's been fun.
And you do have on this team, honestly, on both sides of the ball, vocal leadership. And whether that's good or bad, I think it's good. I don't know that it necessarily translates to wins. Sometimes guys are willing to be outspoken. For example, today there was a point where Bauer Sharp jumped off sides in a goal line period, and Whit Weeks, who wasn't on the field, it was that the twos were in at this point, and so Whit's standing behind the offensive huddle with the defense, and he's yelling from the sideline, "False start, bag him up!" Like just going crazy. And Brian Kelly yells at him like, "Hey, shut up! They don't need your help." But like, it's just you have guys that are willing to be vocal. At the very beginning of practice, Nuss was yelling at everybody when they went outside, huddle up and get ready. You have that. You have the guys that are the alphas. Everyone in a program full of dudes that are all used to being 4- and 5-star guys, the best guy on their team forever. They all know who the alphas are on this team. It's very apparent. And Nuss is that on the offensive side. Now, on Friday, we talked to Joe Sloan, and he was asked kind of about like the defensive progress in going against Blake Baker.
Now, players playing fast. The implementation of the defense, right, and the structure, so that there's less thinking, more ability to tinker and have different little things that they want to do based on alignments. And I think they're playing really smart football. But also, I think there's a lot of really good athletes over there too. I think the secondary is playing extremely well, and I think the whole front's playing well. They pose a lot of problems, right? And it's a good thing for us, right? Because then they make an adjustment, then we got to see it, and we got to make that adjustment. But it's great for us to see. I think they got some twitchy guys inside coming off the football, which is going to be really good and good to watch on the other side. You know what I mean? When we don't have to play them, so that'd be nice.
I did an interview this morning on Jocks FM in Birmingham with Cole Kubelik and Greg McElroy, and we were talking about the team periods, and I was explaining kind of what I said here, which is what we've said really in all our practice reports, which is defensively they've really had the upper hand on the offense until today. Like the last 2 days, the offense has kind of won the day. Certainly on Monday, the offense won the day. But in the first week and a half of fall camp, when they would go team period, it was just overwhelming that the defense was winning. And Cole asked me, he's like, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but is it just base looks, or are they doing? I was like, no. They're being very creative with their blitzes. They are blitzing. They're rushing. You're looking at odd fronts. I mean, we've seen sort of their pass rush front where Jack Pyburn and Bernard Gooden go inside, and you've seen Kalaj Cobbins and Patrick Payton on the outside. I mean, it's just the defense is showing a lot, so it's a big challenge for the offense. I think Joe Sloan's right. It's forcing them to grow up in a hurry with a lot of the new guys. And Blake Baker on Monday was also asked about how they improved. No, it wasn't that one. It was he was asked about improving late in the year last year, but he didn't. He said there were some things they had to do. He wouldn't disclose. He said there were some things that they did maybe that were off-brand for him, things he wouldn't necessarily want to do, but had to do because of the personnel that they had. Now, and he was asked to elaborate, and he wasn't willing to do it, so he didn't want to give away any secrets or anything like that. But, I think one of the big things that's changed clearly is personnel in certain spots. And the question that I asked Blake Baker right out the chute was his assessment of the safeties. And the reason I brought this up, and this is no secret, we've talked about it a bunch, and it doesn't matter if you look at something like Pro Football Focus, where last year the lowest rated players on the defense were your safeties. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but I mean, it was Gilbert and Burns, and it was a problem. And early they tried to rotate some of the young guys in there, like Deshaun Spears, who's a 5-star, who has such tremendous potential and upside. He was just playing early as a freshman last year. And then after that first month of the season, they just said, "Look, we're just putting the veterans out there. At least they know where they're supposed to be." And it wasn't great. And it was a pretty consistent thing last year. It's just so odd to see, because LSU, this is the program that's had LaRon Landry and Jamal Adams and Eric Reed, and you run through all these, Grant Delpit, these amazing safeties that have rolled through this program. And to be so bad at that position a year ago was a bit of an outlier. So I asked Blake Baker a very open-ended question. I said, "What's your assessment of the safeties?" And I asked it just for your context, just for your understanding. I think there's two ways to ask a question, really depending on what answer you're trying to get. Like, there are times to ask a very specific question when you need a confirmation of an answer. For example, asking Brian Kelly last week, was Garrett Nussmeier a full participant at practice today? That is a yes or no answer. There is no way to manipulate an answer to that question. Like, that is a very direct question that warrants a very direct answer. But sometimes I think we ask questions, you tend to maybe get in the habit of asking a leading question. Like, for example, I could have asked Blake Baker, why is A.J. Haulcy so important to your defense? What's a leading question? That's leading him to an answer and say, well, he's really important to the defense because, well, like, I'm leading him to saying something about A.J. Haulcy. What I asked was, what is your assessment of the safeties? And the reason I asked it that way is because I wanted to leave it open-ended to see where he would go. And because I didn't name a player, if he did, that tells you that's who's top of mind for him. So I say very open-ended, Blake, give me your assessment of the safeties through 2 weeks of fall camp. And this is the answer.
Yeah, so it's usually the burning question, and rightfully so. I've been really pleased with those guys. I think Coach Olson and Coach Joseph, one, it helps being in year two. And then two, I think with the additions of Tamarcus, Cooley, and A.J. Haulcy, it's been really good, especially with A.J. He's played a lot of football. He's extremely instinctual, one of the most instinctual players I've been around. So him just having that awareness and the communication. But when you look at the depth in that room, again, we talk about Deshaun Spears, Toviano, Jordan Gilbert. It's a good problem to have. It's a good luxury to have, and that's kind of going to be the recurring theme as we move on. When I really feel good about our depth across the board, but especially at that position, I think they're coming along very well.
Yes, they have depth. Okay. And at the end, he just named a whole bunch of names. But who is the guy he focused on? I asked a very open-ended question. Give me your assessment of the safeties. And where, can you play just the very beginning again? Remember how we started? Like, I didn't ask him a leading question. I didn't say, Coach, your safety play was bad last year. Give me an assessment. Do you think they've improved? All I said was, give me your assessment of your safeties. This is how we started.
Yeah, so it's usually the burning question, and rightfully so.
Because, thank you, rightfully so, because they were bad. He's confirming it. They were bad at safety last year. We all saw it, but your defensive coordinator is there, in so many words, saying it, which is why they had to go out and get Tamarcus, Cooley, and A.J. Haulcy. And then he starts talking about Haulcy and says he's played a ton of football. He's as instinctual a player as we have. Like, that is validating for the things that we, the media, who don't really know what we're looking at. We all watch football like you watch football, but we're not coaches. Like, I'm not on a whiteboard like Xing and Oing every day. I never played safety. I mean, I can talk to, God bless, I'll give him a shout, like Gordy. Gordy played safety at LSU, knows a lot about football. I can ask Gordy questions. Brandon Taylor was a great safety at LSU. BT will come on the show and give us some insights, and that's great. But I go out to practice, and I'm like, man, 13 looks different. Like, he's making a lot of plays in the run game. He can turn and cover. He's picking off Nuss in 7-on-7. Like, there's a lot there with 13. It's just, it looks different than the others. And then the defensive coordinator tells you it like that's validation right there. They are, I'll continue to say it, they are better at every level of the defense talent-wise. It's not even debatable. Last year, you had Parashand and Gio Paez and a freshman Ahmad Bro really as your rotating guys on the interior. Now you've got 6-year Jacoby and Guillory, 5-star Dom McKinley, 2nd-year Ahmad Bro. Oh, by the way, you've also got Sadir Mitchell, who you brought in via the transfer portal. Like, you are, and Bernard Gooden, who has been a standout so far in camp. Like, you are undeniably better there. We've talked about the edge players, all veteran 4th, 5th, and 6th-year guys. Pyburn's a 4th-year guy. Peyton's a 5th-year guy. Butler's a 6th-year guy that you added at the edge. At linebacker, having West back along with Witt, Perk back off of injury, you're better. At corner, adding Mansour Delane. At safety, the guys we just talked about, like, you're better. Undeniably, DJ Pickett at corner, you're undeniably better at every level of your defense. How much more can it come together on the field? Can you go from being a 60s total defense? I think there were 59 in the country last year in total defense. If I remember offhand, it's like 59 or 61. It was right in there. Can you go to being top 30? Can the improvement in talent allow Blake Baker the opportunity to call the type of defense he wants to call that can make you improve from 60 to top 30? Because you go top 30 with an offense that's going to score 35, 40 points a game, you're going to win a hell of a lot more than you lose. And it's really encouraging because the talent level has undeniably at every level of that defense improved to where it looks like it's supposed to look with an LSU defense. Now, you got to bring it all together. Like, you got to take all those ingredients and make it into a beautiful finished product. And that's on Blake Baker and his staff. But the ingredients on this defense are there. That much is evident when you go out. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.